Good evening. I'm going to call the meeting to order. And Sue, may we have the roll call, please?
Here.
Councilmember Brigham.
Here.
Vice Mayor Walter.
Here.
Mayor Bagby.
Present. Are there any conflict of interest declarations? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to agenda review. Anything from City Manager?
Mayor, no changes to the agenda. I do want to note that item 14 is consideration of appointment of planning commissioners to fill openings and vacancies on the planning commission. The council previously requested that this item be re-agendized, particularly when Councilmember Turner was available. Councilmember Turner was unable to attend. He indicated earlier today that he was feeling under the weather. And so the council may want to decide. I know there are members here in the audience that would be waiting around for that item. Certainly the council could take it up tonight, but given Councilmember Turner's absence, if you wanted to have that be brought forward at the next meeting, we're happy to do so. It's really the pleasure.
Is there
of the
interest
council.
in bringing it forward at a future meeting?
At a future?
At a future meeting, yeah.
I would bring it forward at a future
Okay.
meeting, yes.
So, amenable. All right, great. Well, then we'll do that. We'll move it to the next meeting.
Okay, so just to let the folks in the audience know that item 14 will be continued to the next meeting, which is currently scheduled for December 11th.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, then we will move on to proclamations and presentations. The first one is commendation to police officers Camara and Gastineau.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't see them here. They were going to try to hurry back from training.
Yeah,
It doesn't look like.
why don't we just stick with their timing? Move on to item number 2, Yogadale proclamation.
Okay. Okay, Mayor. The next item on the agenda is a proclamation of the City Council of the City of Cloverdale, declaring the name of the City of Cloverdale as Yogadale, California, and proclaiming Yoga Matt as the honorary mayor of Yogadale from November 17th to November 24th, 2019. And if you're so inclined, I'll continue.
Please do.
All right. Whereas Yoga on Center opened a yoga studio in the newly redesigned Silverwood building in downtown Cloverdale in 2017. Whereas Yoga on Center Yoga Studio in Cloverdale offered a class called Yoga for Men that was intended for men that were inflexible. And I'm not sure if that's mentally or physically. And whereas following the start of the class, Cloverdale resident and writer Roy Parvin penned an article for the Cloverdale Reveille about the class under the pseudonym Yoga Matt. And whereas Yoga Matt wrote and published a yoga book under the same name, Yoga for the Inflexible Male. And whereas Cloverdale resident and local artist Richard Shepard provided the illustrations of each of the yoga poses, 120 in total, and one of the illustrated characters in the book is based on Yoga for Men teacher Jerry Sinclair. And whereas in celebration of the book's release on November 18, a Welcome to Yogadale Home of Yoga Mat sign will be placed on the Cloverdale Chamber of Commerce's Highway 101 announcement board. And whereas in honor of service as an exemplary ambassador for Cloverdale, as well as the ancient practice of yoga, the Cloverdale City Council has moved to ceremoniously change the name of the city of Cloverdale to Yogadale, California, from November 17th to November 24th. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Cloverdale, in deep appreciation to Yoga Matt, hereby declares the name of the City of Cloverdale as Yogadale, California, and proclaims Yoga Matt as the honorary mayor of Yogadale from November 17th to November 24th, 2019. So ordered, Mayor Melanie Bagby. And maybe at this time we can invite Yoga Matt up to say a few words.
Please come up.
Book.
And City Manager, do you have the proclamation?
We do.
I'm going to let you hand it to him since I shouldn't be handing anything to anybody right now. Oh, okay. Be warned. You may want to spray it down with some hand sanitizer.
I do swear this book, which is going to be available nationwide in a week at Amazon.com, I do swear that a brief tenure as mayor to perform my task with ultimate flexibility. And to if you know what I mean. Everybody, thank you very much.
Namaste, Mayor Matt.
I apologize for interrupting important citizens. Your own money to the party makes me get a trade clothes too.
Great.
Thanks so much.
Right. Okay, we're going to move on to our next item, which proclamation in support of the Reducing Crime and Keeping California Safe Act 2020.
Okay, Mayor. This is the proclamation of the City Council of the City of Cloverdale supporting the Reducing Crime and Keeping California Safe Act of 2020. Whereas since 2014, California has had an increase in violent crime than the rest of the United States. Since 2013, violent crime in Los Angeles has increased 69.5%. Violent crime in Sacramento rose faster during the first 6 months of 2015 than in any of the 25 largest U.S. cities tracked by the FBI. And whereas the FBI preliminary semi-annual Uniform Crime Report for 2017, which tracks crimes committed during the first 6 months of the past year in U.S. cities with populations over 100,000, indicates that last year violent crime increased again in most of California's largest cities. Whereas recent changes to parolee laws allowed the early release of dangerous criminals by the law's failure to define certain crimes as violent, these changes allowed individuals convicted of sex trafficking of children, rape of an unconscious person, felony assault with deadly weapon, battery on a police officer or firefighter, and felony domestic violence to be considered non-violent offenders. And whereas as a result of these so-called non-violent offenders are eligible for early release from prison after serving only a fraction of the sentence ordered by a judge. And whereas violent offenders are being allowed to remain free in our communities, even when they commit new crimes and violate the terms of their post-release community supervision, like the gang member charged with the murder of Whittier police officer Keith Boyer. And whereas the Reducing Crime and Keeping California Safe Act of 2020 reforms existing laws so felons who violate the terms of their release can be brought back to court and held accountable for such violations. And whereas nothing in this act is intended to create additional strike offenses which would increase the state prison population, nor is intended to affect the ability of the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation to award educational and merit credits. And whereas recent changes to California law allow individuals who steal repeatedly to face few consequences regardless of their criminal record or how many times they steal. And as a result, between 2014 and 2016, California had the second highest increase in theft and property crimes in the U.S., while most states had seen a steady decline. And whereas California needs stronger laws for those who are repeatedly convicted of theft-related crimes, which will encourage those who repeatedly steal to support their drug problem to enter into existing drug treatment programs. This act enacts such reforms. And whereas recent changes to California law unintentionally eliminate DNA collection for theft and drug crimes, this measure restores DNA collection from persons convicted for such offenses, which will help identify suspects, clear the innocent, and free the wrongly convicted. And this act does not affect existing legal safeguards that protect the privacy of individuals by allowing the removal of their DNA profile if they are charged with a crime or acquitted or are found innocent. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City Council of the City of Cloverdale hereby supports the Reducing Crime and Keeping California Safe Act of 2020. So ordered. Mayor Melanie Bagby.
Thank you. Any comments from the council? No. Any comments from the public? Great. All right. Thank you. And we'll move on to the consent calendar. Or actually, no, before we do that, we're going to do student liaison reports. What do you have for us?
Not much going on this month because of a Thanksgiving break coming up, but the two of the things that I can touch on are the annual McMillan tournament that's coming up, and And cross country has been winning most of its games before today's playoffs. That's all I have to report today.
Great, thank you. Now we'll move on to the consent calendar. All items under consent calendar will be considered together by one action of the council unless any council member or member of the public requests that an item be removed or considered separately. Would you like to have something pulled?
No, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to point out that we skipped public comments.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And Helen is agent.
And she's got the
She's
two
waiting.
little ones. Let's go right to, thank you, pardon my cold medicine. Let's go to public comment. Any person wishing to speak to the city council on any item not listed on the agenda may do so at this time. Apologies.
Thank you. I'm early.
It's right.
So during the fires, I made a few observations, and I thought it was worth coming down here to address council. There was a safety fair back in, I think, September or August. I was working. My family went. They had a nice time. I heard it was lower attendance than you wanted. I got a last-minute Facebook invite. So if we do another one, please advertise all over the place so I can get it. And if the fire department or some vendor would check fire extinguishers, I have one from Ace, but how do I know it's going to work when I need it? I don't know if that was offered at the safety fair, but I'd be interested in it. My husband picked up some CAL FIRE brochures called Ready, Set, Go, which we actually referenced when we were deciding if we were going to evacuate or not. And one of the things on the Ready one was about fireproof landscaping. And for us, Foothill has a lot of landscaping, and it involves pruning 15 feet off the ground and stuff. And I'm not sure if council has looked into that or would look into that as part of the landscaping. I know they're going to replant some of Foothill when they replant, if they could think about that. PurpleAir.com. So the winery I work at used PurpleAir.com as a reference for air pollution, and the Cloverdale air monitor is just a computer-generated one. I looked online. It looks like it's about $250 to buy a monitor. It seems like something the city could look into. Then we would know what our actual air pollution is at any one time. Purple is bad, by the way. Green is good on the website. But the most important thing I wanted to talk about was I really want to thank the council members during the power shutoffs for being on Facebook and spreading good information, staying in touch with the citizens. I really want, and it may have happened already, but for the council to recognize the staff, right? The staff kept the city running. I know some people were evacuated from their homes right away. People were uncomfortable. It was not a fun time. But I'd love to see the staff get recognized. I know Healdsburg and Windsor both held community events. Cloverdale held their community event while this was going on, right? The Citrus Fair was a great place. I think there's people there that should get recognized. The Lions Club was feeding people pancakes. There were people who went to the senior apartments and took care of some populations who can't get out to the Citrus Fair. So I feel like there's a lot of warm, fuzzy stuff, and I'd really like to see the city acknowledge that, because that's one of the things I love about Cloverdale. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Would anyone else like to come forward? Okay. Let's see. Did you have anything else? Okay. With that, we're going to go back to our consent calendar. And you guys don't need me to read that again, do you? All items under consent calendar. Would anyone on the council like to pull any item on the consent calendar? Anyone from the public? All right, seeing none, I will.
Mayor, Council, if I can just to make a quick comment about item number 10, particularly based on the comments that were just provided by under public comment. The goal of that item is to implement Nixle 360. Nixle 360 is an alert notification system for keeping the community informed about particularly emergency events, and this budget amendment will help us fund that implementation of that particular notification and alert tool. So obviously we're recommending that the council approve that this evening, but did want to alert the public that we will move forward fairly quickly to implement that technology. And as part of our website, we will have that link available so that folks can get signed up for that product once we have Everbridge Company under contract, should you approve that item tonight.
Okay, great, thank you. I should probably also mention, just for Helen's benefit and anyone else, the Northern Sonoma County Air Pollution Control District has air monitors here in Cloverdale, and you can check their website for air quality alerts. But they're mostly working with the Sonoma County Health District to get, or Sonoma County Health to get that information out to people. But that is something that you can track on their website. So again, it's Northern Sonoma County Air Pollution Control District. And if you think that's bad, the letters don't spell anything either. So that's a great resource for information for local air quality. Okay.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move for approval of the consent calendar as submitted.
For a second.
I second.
All right. May we have a roll call, Sue?
Councilmember Cruz?
Aye.
Councilmember Brigham?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Walter?
Aye.
Mayor Bagby?
Aye. Right. Moving on to new business, item 13, adoption of the 2019 California Building Standard Codes and 2019 fire codes by reference and amending Title 15.
Mayor, if I could just point out, item 12 was a communication we received.
Oh, sorry.
From
I need as much help as you can give me, possibly. So,
Rob Kauslowski regarding lack of electricity and gas. There's no action required. It was just acknowledgement that we did receive a communication from a resident voicing concern about the, in particular, the shutoff of gas by PG&E, during the Kincaid fire and public safety power shutoff.
yeah. Is there any discussion at this time? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move back on to new business in item 13.
Mayor, council members, this item is the introduction of the adoption of the 2019 building code. It requires two hearings. So this is the first hearing, so we're going to be asking for two actions. The first action tonight would be to introduce by title only and waive the first reading of the text of the ordinance. And the second action would be by motion to schedule the public hearing for the second reading and adoption for December 11th, 2019 at 6 p.m. or thereafter. We do have Mark Harris here tonight, who is our building inspector, who's going to give us just a real quick snapshot of some of the interesting changes of the code that's going to occur with this new adoption. I just want to touch on the REACH code. We did have direction to pursue a REACH code. We did have a planning and community development subcommittee meeting where we had some attendance by some contractors and other interested citizens. Our recommendation tonight is that we continue and maybe have another one and do a little more outreach. We sent it to every developer that we knew. We did get some written correspondence. I'd like to see maybe another one, and then we can come back after the first of the year with our observations and recommendations on the REACH code. We really need to get the building code adopted as soon as possible, and it's well within our right to amend the building code at any time during the cycle. So I just want to point that out. So Mark, I don't know if you want to tell us the new exciting things that are happening in the building code world, but come on up.
Good evening. So I'm real excited about the code being updated again. It's 15 books I get to try to learn again. Probably the most exciting thing for a lot of the cities that have been impacted by shortage of housing is Appendix Q, which will provide a guideline for tiny homes. So the building officials have been waiting for that for about 10 years because you get these questions, can I build a tiny home? Well, the building code didn't really recognize tiny homes until this cycle. The other one that I thought was kind of important in our area is Appendix O, which is emergency housing, which even applies to tent cities, which let's hope we never have to go there. That's probably, there's some energy changes that are coming out that are going to make it a little more difficult to meet the energy code, but it'll flush out in the end. So anyway, if there are any questions.
Hey, Mark, are they going to be requiring photovoltaic on all
Yes,
new homes?
A small solar system will be required on small on single-family dwellings. And actually
New ones.
also some apartment buildings.
Multifamily.
But the criteria is different.
Any questions?
I'm curious, in the building codes for solar, are they, the frustrating thing is for a lot of people who've gone solar is that when we all get shut off, like we did this last time, and I know my neighbor didn't add the switch so she could shut it off and put it into a battery because she didn't add a battery. But I think it would be nice if we do publicize some of these things, because a lot of people are going to the gas generators when they could be just adding that off and on switch, putting in a nice battery system, and they could have lights even if we don't have it. Because having the gas shut off was a real surprise, but I didn't know if they have dealt with that particular issue.
There's no requirement for battery systems on homes.
Okay.
It's an option, and your solar dealer would be glad to help you out.
It's expensive, I guess.
Yeah.
It's going down every year, though. It's
No, that's
really,
shut off the thing. It's in the battery systems. It's like when they quote it, everybody freaks out and doesn't put it in.
but they've lowered significantly pretty much every year. It's Moore's law at this point, so it's getting better every year.
We've had
And
a
they're
few
getting
building
better.
permits that are installing the batteries. We had
Oh,
a
yeah.
couple come through
Yeah,
recently.
I've done a number of them
Yeah.
in Cloverdale.
Because that would be logical if we're going to continue to get shut
Yeah,
offs. It would.
certainly would be.
Any other technical questions right now? Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mark, my big concern is the reach portion. And Kevin, I'm really glad that we're not trying to fit it into this ordinance this evening because, since the Kincaid fire, I've heard from my neighbors, I've heard from quite a few people, you can take my electricity anytime, but don't take my gas. And, we're going to be reaching out to our contractors to get some input. I'd also like to see us expand that to our regular Cloverdalians to get their input. I understand why we're doing it. But it would be nice when you're talking with the contractors, maybe if you could just kind of quiz them. You know most of them, but a lot of them don't have time to come to the meeting. So maybe you can bring us back some info.
Certainly, yeah, certainly.
Anyone else? Would anyone from the public like to come forward and speak on this item?
Shirley Davis, Cloverdale. Good evening. I just have a question. I understand by 2023 that batteries are going to be required and that it's going to be all electric. There won't be any gas. That's my understanding. That's what I heard on public television when they
We'll
were
get a
talking
staff
about
report on
future.
that, I think, on the upcoming requirements. Could we have that on a future agenda item?
Yeah.
2030. Yeah.
2030?
2030.
Okay. I heard 2023, but that might just be for one community too that they're looking at. I'm not sure. That was all the question I had.
Okay. Would anyone else from the public like to come forward and make a comment? All right, well, seeing none, I'll bring it back up to the council. Did we have any further discussion or direction? So I'd like to get some more information on this for the council. I'm glad we're just moving forward with it right now because I think the timing is essential. But and I just noted that last night the Santa Rosa City Council voted 6-0 to implement REACH codes and to make all new construction gas-free. And I think after our last experience here in Cloverdale, we realized that we have to start helping folks be able to shelter in place. And being able to shelter in place means being able to generate your own energy and store your own energy and basically take care of yourself. So I'm interested in seeing, the new trends and what other cities are doing as well, and what we can encourage and work with our contractors on because, at this point, PG&E their gas division they're a federal felon. They killed people in San Bruno. And I just losing faith in their infrastructure. I don't think they're going to continue to invest in it. In fact, they had the PG&E reps were at the city of Windsor and wrote letters in support of Windsor going for the REACH codes as well. So I'd like to get as much of that information about what even PG&E is saying about the future of their gas companies and any future staff reports, because I think it's just essential for our future, so that we're an attractive, forward-looking place where, you know, people want to come and live and know that they can be self-sustainable. I think it's a really good direction for Cloverdale to move in. So I look forward to it. So it sounds like there's general support. Would someone like to recommend the item?
I can offer a resolution, the ordinance. City of Cloverdale Ordinance Number 9, 2019. An ordinance of the City of Cloverdale repealing and replacing Cloverdale Municipal Code Chapters 15 through 15.18 and adopting by reference the 2019 Cloverdale Building Standards Code Title 24, which includes the 2019 California Administrative Code Part 1, including tables, the 2019 California Building Code Part 2, including tables, and appendices C, I, J, L, and O, based on the 2018 International Building Code, the 2019 California Residential Building Code Part 2.5, including tables and appendices H, Q, S, V, and X, based on the 2018 International Residential Code, the 2019 California Electrical Code Part 3, including tables and appendices A, B, C, F, and G. God.
I know.
Based on the 2017 National Electric Code, the 2019 California Mechanical Code Part 4, including tables and appendices B and C. Based on the 2018 Uniform Mechanical Code, the 2019 California Plumbing Code Part 5, including tables and appendices A, B, D, and I, based on the 2018 Uniform Plumbing Code, the 2019 California Energy Code, Part 6, including tables and Appendix 1A, the 2019 California Historical Building Code, Part 8, including tables and Appendix A, the 2019 California Fire Code, Part 9, with appendices standards and NFPA standards by reference based on the 2018 International Fire Code, the 2019 California Existing Building Code, Part 10, including tables and Appendix A, Chapters A1, A3, and A5, based on the 2018 International Existing Building Code, the 2019 California Green Building Standards Code, Part 11, including tables and appendices A4 and A5, the 2019 California Reference Standards Code, Part 12, Title 24, including tables, and the 2018 International Property Maintenance Code. Thank you.
I'll second that.
You're welcome.
Maybe a roll call.
Aye.
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 Aye. Right. We do item 15, cancellation of the regular city council meeting scheduled for November 27th and December 25th.
Mayor, this item is put on the agenda just to formalize whether the council would like to proceed and cancel the two regularly scheduled meetings of November 27th and December 25th, noting that the November 27th is the day before the Thanksgiving holiday, and the second regularly scheduled meeting date is on the Christmas holiday. And so if we agendized this so that we could formally post notices of cancellation, if council so agrees, that we should cancel those meetings. Obviously, if there was other important matters that needed to be addressed, other than what we can do at your December 11th meeting, we could coordinate through the mayor on scheduling a special meeting.
All right. Comment? Comment from the public? Bringing it back to council, would someone like to recommend the item?
Madam Mayor, I'll make the recommendation that we cancel our city council meetings due to the holiday scheduling for 2019, and let's cancel November 27th and December 25th.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right.
Councilmember Cruz?
Aye.
Councilmember Brigham?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Walter?
Aye.
Mayor Bagby?
Aye. Moving on to subcommittee items, seeing none. Reports. All right. Airport, next meeting is February 4th. Finance, Admin, and Police, the next meeting is November 21st. So who's planning, and that's probably Jason, right?
Yeah.
Planning and Community Development, next meeting is December 17th. Public Works, next meeting is November 26th.
The school is on Monday, November 17th.
Okay, great.
Fire district pending.
There you go. Council reports. I'll be writing mine up when I am not high on cold medicine. All right,
too.
anyone else have anything? I'll just submit it at the next meeting. Let's see. We have our legislative report.
Mayor, Council, I just want to offer a brief update. On Tuesday, the Board of Supervisors adopted an ordinance to establish a fire service tax that will be placed on the ballot on for the voters of Sonoma County in March of 2020. The ordinance would establish a half-cent sales tax, a countywide half-cent sales tax. There was considerable discussion by city managers of small cities that are represented by independent fire districts that serve larger areas than our incorporated cities, given the concern that there is a provision in that fire service tax ordinance that if those fire districts do not consolidate, the tax revenue can be reallocated to a neighboring jurisdiction or neighboring district. I did coordinate a set of comments through the county administrative office on requesting changes to ensure that our city council would have some be provided the opportunity to weigh in on whether that consolidation is in the best interests of our city. I think the cities that are affected by that include the city of Cloverdale, the city of Cotati, and potentially the town of Windsor, since they're all served by fire districts. And the issue of reallocation of tax dollars, while it appears to be, because of the expenditure plan language, constitutional, notwithstanding it could potentially impact fire service levels in our community. And it's something that all the other cities have protections provided for within the ordinance. So it was concerning enough to me, given the short amount of time that this was presented, to put that comment to the county administrative office. Normally, in these types of county-wide measures, the council, much like if you want to think about some of the past countywide tax measures, like the library tax or the countywide parks tax, have all been brought to you for a presentation by the parties to get your perspective and get your input. This was pushed through very quickly with very little feedback and opportunity and comment. And there is some concern by our local fire district that if they don't pursue consolidation, even though they've been working on it, it takes time to really facilitate a merger of fire service agencies, that the county could decide to reallocate the tax revenue that would otherwise flow to them under this proposed half-cent sales tax. So that is something that I think we may want to have at least future conversation about, of whether this council supports the tax measure as it's currently written, or maybe not the ordinance, but so much as the expenditure plan and how that's written, because of how it could potentially affect fire services within our community. My sense is right now the Cloverdale Fire District, again, they haven't had the opportunity to formally take it up and review it and take a position on it either, but in consultation with the chief and board president Carol Givinato, they've indicated that they do not support it because they're concerned that the county could transfer the sales tax if they don't consolidate. And unfortunately, the ordinance does not define what consolidation is, other than that if they don't do it, they could transfer the sales tax. There's some that have suggested that the end result or end goal is to have a county-wide fire district that serves the entire county, other than the incorporated cities. But that's not what the expenditure plan says. There's been no real discussion about what the end goal is in terms of seeking consolidation. But I did want to provide you with that important update. And I know the mayor expressed concern to Supervisor Gore, along with the Cotati mayor, on their actions relative to the ordinance on Tuesday morning. But that'll be something I think we'll be working to bring back, and this council may want to take a position on that, and whether you support the tax or not. Because I think there's general agreement that we'd like to see additional funding provided for our fire service community. But again, to do it in a way that is transparent and ultimately will support improvement of service provisions in our and not negatively impact our community. And so it seemed kind of unfortunate that the small cities weren't very well represented in that process, and it was pushed through very quickly without the normal kind of vetting process. I know in consultation with Jose, it hadn't been circulated to any of the city attorneys for their review. I'm sure it went through county counsel's office, but it went through very quickly.
Did you have anything you wanted to add?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I could understand why they're pushing it through. The public support is there for it, I'm sure. David, when is the deadline for all tax measures to be in for the March election?
I think it's quickly approaching. I don't have the exact date. It might. What runs in the top of my head is the third week in November.
Okay.
And the fire measure, are they shooting for March or November?
They are shooting for March.
Okay.
And that's why the quick,
hence the haste.
Quick turnaround on the measure.
I think it might be beneficial if the mayor and other council members agree, once that deadline has passed, if we could have a report what the ballot initiatives are, and some language pertaining to what they're meant to be, so we can make a recommendation. I don't know if it's official to make a recommendation to Cloverdalians, or just so that we could become educated a little better on those ballot initiatives when we talk with our constituents. So,
absolutely, I think we'll have a better idea before the end of the month which ballot measures are actually filed and accepted by the county register of voters, and will ultimately be placed on the ballot. And it's certainly within council's purview to take a position on those ballot measures, and certainly it will have a fiscal impact on the taxpayers in our community. Sure. So you want to make sure you're fully understanding it, the language, and whether you support that or not.
Yeah. And so far we have SMART, and we have this new one from the county. Anything else that you know of?
I'm not aware of
SCTA.
anything else at this, so SCTA might
going out for probably either an extension or additional. They haven't decided yet.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot. It's a very busy season.
The kind of one of the concerns, and it requires more research on our part, is that there is this constitutional limitation on the amount of sales tax percentage increases that can occur over the statutory minimum, which is 2%. Apparently, Senator McGuire did pass a bill that provided for Sonoma County cities an additional 1%. I say that in the context that our council may want to consider a sales tax measure at some point, and so having that room within the statutory limit is important. And all these other countywide tax measures kind of start to erode that our ability. So and also it starts to impact the voters' appetite for additional taxes. So it's just something we should just want to be cognizant of, because if all of that appetite is taken up by other revenue measures, it could impact our own ability potentially to consider our own tax measure. But that's something we'll need to look at closer with the city attorney's office, and be prepared to address more carefully.
So I had planned to go to the Board of Supervisors meeting Tuesday morning, but apparently the mayor of Cotati was in just as bad shape as I was, so neither of us made it, but we did send notes to our respective supervisors. And I just said, just on my own behalf, I just said I'm concerned that this hasn't been thoroughly vetted. I'm concerned that this could, represent pulling funding away from the North County, and it doesn't really make a clear argument anywhere that I can see as to how this will actually improve service. It doesn't define the requirement of consolidation very clearly. So I had sent a note to the city manager. I attached the note from the city manager from Cotati, who basically made a friendly amendment saying, couldn't there just be a carve out for smaller cities who are served by districts? And I got back a huge email from Supervisor Gore saying why I was wrong. So, which I'm happy to share with all of you if you'd like to see it. So, as there's clearly, some heat on the supervisors to get this passed, but I'm just not convinced. I think that they haven't vetted it thoroughly. They haven't shown us how we'll benefit from it, and on something like, I'm not even sure if it's legal, if they can take that tax money that the district voters have put into the district and redistribute it. I'm not even sure I'm not convinced that's possible. So I'd like to do some more homework on that, and that can just fall under our legislative platform for as one of our top priorities. So anyway, okay.
I have also made my feelings very clear to the powers that be that as it sits right now, I would not support it.
Yeah. And they do have to. It requires a 2/3 majority, and if there's just one ballot statement against, that's going to hurt their chances. So I think that's in their interest to listen to our concerns because they're legitimate. Hopefully they will.
Very legitimate.
Yeah, they're legitimate. So,
but it's normal what's happening.
Yeah.
I'm not used to it, but we should be used to it by now.
Well, and the timing was a little weird too. So
yeah.
I'd say. Yeah, I know why they did. Yeah. So, anything else under legislative reports? City manager, city attorney.
I did want to make a quick announcement that we received to recognize our city attorney here today. Jose was recognized among Sacramento's best of the bar by the Sacramento Business.
Well, we knew that.
He's the 2019 list of top lawyers who are considered some of the region's most prominent and well-respected attorneys. And so we're really proud that we have Jose here joining us at the dais. We wanted to read among Sonoma County's best of the bar.
Congratulations. We are very lucky to have you, Jose.
Indeed.
Yeah, great. So we'll move on. So council direction on future agenda items. Anything else? All right, seeing none.
Well, Mayor, I have an item that I just would like to raise for your consideration, and if you support, I will bring it back at your next meeting. Is consideration review of the council's adopted governance manual. The governance manual was last adopted or updated in 2011, so it's been about 8 or 9 years since that's really been reviewed, and I think there's an opportunity to take a fresh look at it. We've got fresh new council and perspective, and it would be ultimately your choice as council whether you amend it, but at least we could take a look at it. My recommendation would be I'll bring it back and you decide if you want to direct staff to go ahead and put it on our work plan to bring it through the process and refer it to subcommittee.
Does that sound good?
Be pretty low on my priority.
Okay. No, I think it's probably time. There's been a lot of
Well,
changes.
it's time,
so,
but
yeah.
I'm just thinking about everything else we've got going on with
Well, I think it's necessary, given that the two new council members, we are not new to professional experiences, but this is a new game plan. And I feel it's our responsibility to make informed decisions based on according to updated information and all the changes that we have seen in technology and processes.
Well, Madam Mayor, I think it's probably time to take a peek at it. There's nothing, and I have to confess, I haven't looked at it in quite a while. There's nothing that jumps out at me that I'd like to see changed, but we do have two new council members, Councilmember Turner and Councilmember Cruz. So I'll strongly suggest that they look at it and redline what they would like to see changed, because their input would probably be more important than mine. So, and again, it's low priority. I don't think staff should be putting other projects aside to do this. So.
No, I think ILG and the League of Cities there's plenty of areas that have been updated, and probably, I think, the last 3 years since I've been a council member, and they probably need to be incorporated into 2011 handbook. So, yeah, I'd say move it forward. All right. Anything else? Is there a report out from, yeah. You have something else? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't mean to beat this dead horse, but what type of resources are you going to be able to put on the review of the governance manual? Is that something that's going to be done in-house, or how do you envision that coming down?
Great question. First, I'd want to bring it forward to council and get your input on which areas to maybe focus on. I think Councilmember Cruz, for example, raised the issue of technology. There's certainly not much language in the manual about social media, for example, and now a number of cities have kind of updated language around providing kind of guidance on social media posts, for example. So that there might be some key areas that we can bring forward for council's consideration to focus on, and have your input, and then refer it to subcommittee with asking individual council members to provide their own feedback on what sections they might like to see updated to reflect our current environment. So I don't have a.
No, I'm just thinking the extra work. Who in City Hall is actually going to make those changes? Is it going to be you or Kevin, or is it going to be somebody? Are we going to source it out with another temporary employee, or?
I would envision it would be, kind of a collaborative process with council, maybe making some suggested updates, and the changes could be minor editorial to substantive, where we add some new sections. I have a few thoughts, so it might be something I probably couldn't tackle the document in its entirety. It would be critical to receive feedback from the council on, I'd like to see a particular section or a particular component of the manual updated so that it's reflective of our current environment. Try to make it strategic as possible, I think, would be the way to look at it. And there's some areas I think we could suggest. I wanted to see if there was concurrence to bring it forward, and I had done a full in-depth analysis of where we'd revise it, or where we might revise it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anything? And is there a closed session report out? We're going into closed session, and we're kicking people out. Well, all right. Well, then, in that case, I'm going to just call a short recess and let everyone who is not part of closed session leave the building. Thank you. Are we going across the street?
It's council's desire if we want to walk
Can
across
we
the
just
street.
stay here? Can we just stay here and get
if we maybe pull the tables a little closer.
Yeah.
Turn these off.